Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Morgan. Today, my guest is Lance Gruner. He is the Executive Vice President of Global Customer Care at Mastercard. Mastercard is an incredible brand with 30,000 employees. Today, we're talking about voice of the customer programs. We're talking about customer-centric leadership, building a customer-centric culture, and so much more. Lance has plentiful experience in B2B, B2C, and B2B2C companies. He has 25 years of experience in driving customer-centric cultures. Please enjoy Lance Gruner. Lance, welcome to the Modern Customer Podcast. Where are you calling in from today?
So I am calling in from today from Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, what a great town. My last podcast guest lived there. Must be
Oh,
a special
really?
place.
It's a great town.
Yeah.
It really is. There's so much you can do, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to work remotely. So I get to experience music. I get to experience a little bit of Southern hospitality, and
Yeah.
I can work from home.
That's awesome. Well, Lance, for those that don't know you, can you just give us a view of your scope and what that exactly entails?
Sure. So I run global customer care for Mastercard, and that is supporting over 870 products globally. And we keep supporting the customers both on the B2C side and B2B side, so our customers and then our consumers, the end card holders. We do it, I have physically teams in 30 countries, and we do it in 64 different languages, and we support 210 countries and territories.
So let's peel back the layers of leadership. I mean, clearly you've got a lot on your plate. What to you defines the customer-centric leader?
A customer-centric leader really is about, number one, listening to the customers. If you're a customer-centric leader, for Mastercard, it's about living aspirations. It's about, getting what you want to do. Where in Mastercard's case, you are providing an economy. You're providing, and you're empowering people, and you are, really building a sustainable economy. For my world, when you look at customers, it really is about, and even up end to end, like it really is about listening to the customers and making sure you understand what the customer needs is, and that you're solving that problem. You're solving that root problem.
And let's look at who your customer actually is, because it might not be who we assume it is. Who is your
So
customer?
yeah, we have two sets of customers. So we have like the end card holder. So if they're have a Black Mastercard, they will be able to get concierge services. They'll be able to use lounge access. So we will handle customers that come in that need to understand their balance to their prepaid card, or they have a challenge with their access to a club. On the business side, that is a lot of our issuers. So issuers and acquirers, i.e. Bank of America, Citi, Fifth Third, HSBC, some like that. So it really is about issuers, banks, and institutions.
Lance, so when I meet someone like you, I'm so curious to know, you have so much responsibility, so many people that you serve, like you said, over 800 products, so many countries. Where do you even begin to organize your day? Where does your day, like if you could describe it like a pie, like could you just share what each piece of the pie represents and how big that pie is, that piece?
So how I organize, I usually, when I first get up and I check my email to make sure something didn't drastically happen overnight. Usually there's alerts. So if usually my phone's right by my bed, in case there's something that happens, 9 times out of 10, I usually wake up for it, but just in case I don't. So I look to see what's going on in the world. And then I start checking in with my assistant to see what is on the plate for the day. And then I check in with all my directs around the world, and we check to see what's happening. And then it gets into following up in the morning. And then it really is about all the the initiatives that we've got going, the development that we have going, training that's going on. I make sure that those are happening and I check in on that. What does help me is I have a really, really amazing team surrounding me. So honestly, they make me look good. But they're a really good organization, and they're really focusing in directly on the customer's needs. And a lot of it is there's questions, there's escalations that happen that need to be addressed. And so that's pretty much my day. And a lot of times the day is when you're in operations, and especially in you're a customer supporting organization, your day really isn't planned. There's a lot of surprises that come up. There's a lot of things that are happening. It is something that I really enjoy because no 2 days are alike. So if you make sure that you're checking in with your leaders, you make sure you have good communication, you have good expectations set for them, and you're able to handle all the surprises that happen during the day.
So one of the things that we talk about on the show a lot is customer experience mindset, Lance. How does customer experience mindset translate into how you run your group?
So it really is the number one is which is one of Mastercard's philosophies, always do the right thing. And so we start with that baseline of we always do the right thing. And then we make sure that we're listening to our customers. And everyone knows that the most important call, the most important email, the most important things they're doing is coming from one of our customers. At that moment, what do we need to do to take care of it? So it's the mindset of making sure we're always doing the right thing. And we always want to make sure that they understand what is the reason that they were calling or reaching out. A lot of times customers don't always tell you on the first thing, or they will tell you a first problem, but there's really something underlying that they need help with as well. So my team is really trained to really listen and then really understand what is necessary from root cause.
Yeah, and before we hit record on the podcast, you were talking about the importance of walking a mile in the customer's shoes. How does that come into practice, Lance, every day for yourself and your leaders, your employees? How do you understand what is exactly happening on the ground with customers?
So they are, like I said, number one, you have to have the right leader with the right passion. I'm very fortunate that the team all has the same passion, the passion about servicing your customers, taking care of your customers. They all believe on doing the right thing. That's the Mastercard philosophy and why people work for such an amazing company. But what's important with that is that they understand that there's an end-to-end experience. So what they do is part of their listening is understanding that, here's the route, or here's what they're trying to do is not route. I also do everything I can, as Mastercard does. We try to incent and reward for really customer first, customer centricity, customer listening. And the importance of when you do that, and what we encourage is making sure you focus on customer experience. And customer experience is that end-to-end journey. And some companies, as we started talking earlier, may not follow that. And with the speed of which technology and tools are being out there in the industry now, with companies post-COVID doing more self-service or more opportunities to engage with their customers differently, they have to make sure, when customers, when they look at things, they want basically four things when they're interacting. And they want to make sure that you respect them. And so the technology you develop and the things that you develop have to make sure you know who they are, why they're calling, and do that gives them the respect. The second thing is they want to make sure that whatever work they're doing and whether they're engaging with and the tools, it's got to work. And today there's a lot of websites out there or apps that you're going out there, and people are developing them at a fast pace to try to get more competitive, to try to get out there. But they're not walking in those shoes, and they're not walking in every moment that the customer has a chance to make an impression of you. So some of the stuff may not make sense as you're trying to develop it. So something in the app, a link may not work, or button may not work, or a button should be placed somewhere else, or there's something that the customer is not really experiencing as the best customer experience. So they want to make sure that it works. And they want to make sure that um, when you're having to deal with your customers, that when they're engaging with you, that they have the most knowledgeable and trained people. So it's not only when
Yeah.
we talk about things that companies need to do, they need to make sure they're spending time in development. They're making sure that developers and engineers need to walk in the shoes of our customers, because you need to develop it not for you, not for internal, you're developing it for your customers. And then making sure that if you're in the service and you're doing like my work, you need to make sure that everybody's trained on all your products, and there's there's communication when there's upgrades or when there's features or functionality or even new products that are rolling out, and that happens regularly. You need to make sure you have a solid communication plan and a solid opportunity for you bring in your product owners and your product leaders and your engineering leaders and make sure that they are together. And that's one thing Mastercard does really well, is creating a culture that is inclusive, that everybody knows that they can depend on each other. And that's our philosophy of how we create a great experience.
So, Lance, you even said yourself, you're an operations executive. As far as customer experience, that role, it really can change depending on the company. What is the role of an operations executive in helping to build out that brand?
So, what from an operations, you have to have a mindset of you think quickly, think on your feet, you think on. So you have to make sure that with everything that's happening in all our different countries, you need to make sure you're keeping those balls in the air. So from an operations, you think differently, slightly than other. You could, some people could say we're crazy, but it really is about how you look at things, how you know that what you need to keep in the air, making sure you communicate, make sure that you have people trained, make sure that your people understand the mission of what we are here to do. And then it really is a little bit of intuition. It really is a little bit about gut to basically say, this is what I need to jump in. So from a true operational leader, which now has to have, my passion is really about the customer and the customer experience. I've been doing this for multiple years, more than I care to admit, but it's my DNA, my specialty or my secret sauce really is understanding what the customer needs before they need it. And I do my best to really
Mhm.
incorporate that into our development of our tools, our people, and our relationships with our customers.
So, what would you say? Because I get asked this question a lot. What would you say to other executives that want to build a world class brand like MasterCard, but they're not able to make the connection to, let's say, like good customer service or experiences with brand recognition?
It really is about making sure that, when you are that, I would say to the leaders, is really about bringing and creating value of your team and your organization. Because it really is about, with the MasterCard, we grow together, we move fast, and we do the right thing. And having that mantra, having that aspiration, having that value is really important. Culture is so important in this role, in this operation, in dealing with customers. Once you create that culture that is solid, that is customer centric, then everything builds off of that. So it really is about making sure that you're customer first, you're customer centric, but more importantly, you're really creating that value and that lifetime value that you want to connect with your customers. And Mastercard does an amazing job of creating that lifetime value because of a strong culture, because of always doing the right thing, about basically moving fast when customers need it.
Yeah. I mean, as far as figuring out what customers value, I would say fintech is one of the most exciting and potentially also exhausting industries because it is moving so quickly. You also have regulation. It's a crowded marketplace that is so much different than it was 10 years ago, with startups just taking the world by storm,
Yeah.
like Venmo and others. So, how do you and your team keep up in an industry that is just changing so quickly?
There's a couple ways. I mean, you are correct in the amount of technology out there. The amount of every year technology changes, and there's so much capabilities out there. I think you need another one. You have to have a culture when you're creating that value and you're using tools, self-service, and everything. You want to make sure that you use it as an enabler. It's not a replacement. So number one, there's a lot of great listening and learning capabilities that tools have, especially with AI and the development things that we're doing with artificial intelligence. But it really is about making sure what problem you're trying to solve, then using a tool or automation to enable it, to help it, not necessarily replacement, and then keeping up with that within Mastercard. I have a tech team that really stays on top of automation, new challenges. They're constantly looking at, are there different tools that we can use that we can benefit from? And it really is making sure that it doesn't have to be the most expensive tool or the most, it really is about making sure that whatever data you're using from your tools or from the data and analytics, that is communicated to tell the story. And when you're using it, it's
Mm-hmm.
making sure you're using technology to tell that story. And by using that, making sure
Absolutely.
that story is told up through not only your product owners, but up through your technology owners, all the way up to your C-suite.
Yes. And I love that you use the word story because using the data, painting the picture, creating a feedback loop back to marketing and innovation, it's really, really important. What is the process of getting them that feedback? Like literally, tactically, like what does that look like? How do you do that?
So we have multiple ways of doing it. We have automated reporting that goes out to the leaders on a regular basis that shows about the data that's analytics. And then we have QBRs, which are business reviews. They could be quarterly, it could be monthly with certain leaders and product owners. And we do a deep dive into the reasons that customers are reaching out to us. What is necessary? So we give them a lot of data, and that story is being told. My team has been trained to tell stories. You back years ago, I mean, a lot of, and especially customer care leaders, used to just give you a report that says, here's the numbers for typical KPIs, or this is, the average speed of answer, and those things. Those are basic data that you collect about, your operation. But today, it really is about focusing on sentiment. It's focusing on
Mm-hmm.
happiness. It's focusing on, customer satisfaction. Sometimes first-time resolution. Sometimes things. So you need to make sure that in part of your story is telling what is going on and making those numbers jump off the page. And those telling that story
Mm-hmm.
is an easier way for leaders to understand really what's going on versus just looking at a dashboard that has a bunch of numbers. So it really is about making sure every opportunity that you have with your team is reinforcing the need for storytelling to make sure you're incorporating everything that you glean from your data and from your analytics is told at the right level.
Lance, how do you know when your KPIs that you've been using are no longer relevant? Like, let's say you found some employees to be gaming the KPI, or the KPI is not driving the behavior you want to see. Like, how often are you reevaluating those KPIs?
So we are always keeping in front of the our KPIs. A big thing is we engaged, a couple of years ago, we engaged a company, COPC, to help us validate a lot of the KPIs. And this organization really looks across the board, looks at everything to make sure what are the standards, what are the levels that they should be for a high performing customer centric organization. And that organization really serves as a benchmarking. And so we do a lot of our benchmarking against that, and we make sure that as we look at the information we glean from benchmarking, it allows us to help with transformation. It really is about aligning that to a high performance organization. And it really is about, with those KPIs, it's really about how do we get to a transparent, conversation about what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
the data, and part of that story. It really is in making sure that we have our customer facing teams, have the right tools, have the training, and with that, all that comes through as far as making sure that you're updated with all the KPIs that are necessary.
For someone at the top, at the leadership level,
What is the most important thing that you do, Lance, to drive a customer focused organization? Like, if there's one thing that you would encourage our listeners and our viewers to do, what would that be?
It really is about authenticity. It really about making sure that you are listening to your customers. And I have a mantra of GTRSD, and it's get the right stuff done.
Hmm.
And so when you start looking at making sure that you not only influence that to all leaders are very comfortable and open to being able to get the right stuff done, making them customers part of that environment. I think that's really the most important thing. And the other thing is really making sure that you're listening to your customers. And if you're truly listening and you're understanding, then you can make the right decisions that are necessary to support it.
Get the right stuff done. I think that's so important because often in these jobs, especially in contact centers, they treat agents like robots and they don't have the
Right.
room to think for themselves. So I think it's a management strategy to say, here are the boundaries, and within these boundaries, we need you to GTS, get the right stuff done. GTS TD. I can't remember exactly.
CTRSD.
Thank you. That's a mouthful. But to, think for yourself. Think for yourself. You're smart. We're going to train you. We're going to hire good people. We're going to develop them. And we want you to actually use your brain to do what's best for the customer in the moment.
Yes. I mean, we've all experienced when we walked into different companies or different organizations when you have something, you want something solved, and the first answer they get out is no, we can't do it. I
Right.
mean, that customer is not going to walk away with, what do you mean? I'm not that important, or did you really listen to? I mean, it should make sure you're always doing the right thing. And sometimes it may be that it may have a little bit of cost, but we make sure my team knows they're out there to make sure they take care of the customer, and we solve it.
Absolutely. Well, let's get to know you a little bit. Are you game for some rapid fire fun questions?
Sure.
All right, sounds good, Lance. All right, first question. What is the most important part of your morning routine?
Honestly, the first part is when I work out. I do it early in the morning. Right after I get up, after I check everything, I literally go to the gym and I spend my time working out because that's my solitude, my time to reset my head and uh,
Hmm.
and be able to get through the day.
Love it. And what show are you currently streaming right now?
I just finished Hacks, and
Oh,
I will tell. It was a great.
I'm watching it right now.
Uh, I won't let you in on any secrets here, but I'll tell you it is a really great series.
It is
Can't wait
so
for
well
your
written.
season two.
Yeah, so well written.
Yeah.
All right, what do you do at the end of a hectic day to relax?
Really is about, I get into a place where I just don't want to talk. I just want to charge, and I kind of meditate and I sit out in my backyard, and I'm just literally trying to reconnect to nature. So I listen to all the sounds, and I'm not having to talk. It's trying to get my brain to kind of wind down and just kind of rest and relax for the next day.
And what is one thing about Nashville that people might not know?
One thing that people won't know about Nashville is there is such talent here. And it's amazing the people that have moved in from other parts of the country, and they're absolutely brilliant. And what's happening in downtown? Great companies that are coming in.
That's awesome. If you could have lunch with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, that's a hard one. I would, and I know it's really. I have this press. I would love to have dinner with Margaret Thatcher. I've always
Hmm.
had a thing for her power and for her intelligence. Yes, she's a controversial figure, but I think dinner with her would be very fascinating.
And if you could summarize your life in one quick motto, your outlook, what would it be?
Oh, I would say truth. For
Awesome.
my motto is all about making sure that I honor my truth, I honor who I am, and it's important to to make sure that, when I go to bed at night, I've basically, it was all true.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll come back, and I might have to get in touch with you and go to Nashville, and maybe we can have some coffee down in Nashville sometime.
Would love it, Blake. I would definitely be open to it. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. I've learned a lot. And for all of you tuning in and watching, until next time.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on social media, including Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and more.